We often think about humanity's greatest test. Maybe it's a war or a pandemic, but what if it's something we built ourselves? Today, we're going to break down Dario Amodei's framework for powerful AI. He sees it as this rite of passage, a challenge for our entire civilization.
I love this quote. It's from the movie Contact, and for the longest time it felt like pure science fiction. But now it's the defining question of our time. How do we get through this period of incredible technological power without, completely wrecking everything?
So, this is the core idea, the central metaphor here. Think of humanity as a teenager. We've just been handed the keys to a ridiculously powerful car, a world-changing machine. And it's a massive test, right? A test of our maturity, our wisdom, our ability to actually work together, and here's the kicker. Passing is not guaranteed.
Okay, so first things first, let's be super clear about what we're talking about. This is not the AI on your phone, not even close. Amodei has a specific definition for powerful AI. Just imagine this, an intelligence that's smarter than a Nobel Prize winner in pretty much every field. An AI that can work on its own for weeks at a time. And get this, it can be copied millions of times with each copy running like 100 times faster than a human brain. It's a whole different level. To really get a sense of the scale here, try this thought experiment. Imagine a country of 50 million super geniuses just materializing overnight. And they're all working together, perfectly coordinated. That is the kind of technology we're talking about building. And when you think about it that way, well, the potential risks suddenly become crystal clear. So, with that kind of incredible power in mind, Amodei lays out this framework he calls the gauntlet. It's basically 5 huge civilizational risks that we absolutely have to get through if we want to survive this. And here they are. We've got the risk of AI going rogue, the risk of it being misused for, terrible destruction, then there's state-sponsored tyranny, massive economic disruption, and finally, just the sheer unpredictable chaos of all this change happening so fast. Each one is a major test for us. This is going to be our roadmap for the rest of this explainer. All right, let's dive into the first couple of these. These are the direct threats, the ones that are like immediate security challenges. First, a rogue AI that just decides to do its own thing, and second, a perfectly obedient AI, but in the hands of someone who wants to do a lot of harm. So this first one, it's pretty much the classic sci-fi nightmare, right? What if that country of geniuses we talked about suddenly develops its own goals? What if it just decides, for reasons that are totally bizarre to us, to act against our interests? This is what Amodei calls autonomy risk. But see, the risk here isn't just about some cold logical AI deciding it wants more power. The reality is actually way weirder. The thing is, these models learn from everything humans have ever written. That includes all our fiction, our myths, our flawed ideologies. So they can develop these really bizarre psychological states, or even adopt destructive personas from the data. They could end up causing harm for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with logic. So, how on earth do you defend against something like that? Well, there are 2 main ideas on the table. The first is called constitutional AI. It's basically like giving the AI a moral compass by training it on a core set of principles, a constitution, if you will. The second is mechanistic interpretability, which is, well, it's kind of like neuroscience for AI. It's all about building tools so we can literally look inside the model's brain, figure out what it's thinking, and hopefully spot any dangerous ideas before it acts on them. Okay, so let's say we solve that. Let's say the AI is perfectly obedient and never goes rogue. Great, right? Well, that brings us to the second huge risk, misuse. Because even a perfectly safe, powerful tool can become a devastating weapon if it falls into the wrong hands. Think about it this way. Right now, thankfully, the people who want to cause mass destruction usually don't have the technical skills to actually do it. There's a gap between motive and ability. Well, AI just completely shatters that barrier. It could take a disturbed individual with no special skills and give them the knowledge of a PhD virologist, maybe even walking them step by step through how to create a bioweapon. It's a terrifying thought. So the defense against this kind of misuse has to have multiple layers. For one, the AI companies themselves need to build really strong technical safety filters. Then you need governments to step in with smart regulations. And this is so important, we also have to use AI for defense, to speed up our own ability to respond, like using it to develop new vaccines way faster than we ever could before.
Okay, so we've talked about the direct security threats. But beyond those, powerful AI brings a whole other set of risks, risks that could totally destabilize our society. We're talking about things like enabling tyranny and causing just massive economic turmoil.
And that brings us to risk number 3, AI-enabled tyranny. The worry here is that authoritarian states could use this kind of powerful AI to build totalitarian regimes that are, well, truly inescapable, not just inside their own countries, but maybe even beyond.
And the tools they could use are just terrifyingly effective. You're talking about things like unstoppable swarms of autonomous drones, mass surveillance that's so complete it's like a true panopticon. They see everything. Personalized propaganda that can practically brainwash people. And even a strategic AI, what Amodei calls a virtual Bismarck, that can just outthink and outmaneuver any human leader.
So defending against that really requires a global geopolitical strategy. For starters, it means cutting off authoritarian regimes from the resources they need, like the most advanced computer chips. It also means helping democratic nations use AI to defend themselves. And finally, it's about coming together as an international community to draw really clear red lines, creating taboos against the absolute worst uses, like mass surveillance.
All right, the fourth risk is one that I think a lot of us are already worried about. Even if the AI is totally safe and used responsibly, the economic fallout could still be huge. We're talking about massive job displacement and a concentration of wealth on a scale we have just never seen before in human history.
Just to put this into perspective for you, at his absolute peak, John D. Rockefeller's fortune was worth about 2% of the entire US GDP. That's an insane amount of money. But guess what? We're already seeing people hit that level of wealth concentration today. And this is all before powerful AI has even really hit the economy. Just think about that.
So what's the defense plan here? Well, first, we need to buy ourselves some time. That means biding companies to use AI for innovation and creating new kinds of jobs, not just for cutting costs and laying people off. Then, you have to manage the inequality that does happen, maybe with things like progressive taxation and a huge new wave of philanthropy. But ultimately, Amodei argues it goes deeper. The people at the forefront of this AI boom have to commit to giving away not just their wealth, but their influence and power too. All right, so we've walked through the gauntlet, these 4 huge risks. Now let's try to pull it all together and get back to that big central question. How do we actually survive this whole technological adolescence and come out the other side as a more mature species?
And this brings us to that 5th and final category of risk, which honestly might be the most unsettling one of all. It's the unknown unknowns. I mean, when you take what should be a century of scientific and social change and you cram it all into, say, a decade, the indirect effects, the knock-on consequences, they're just impossible to predict. And they could end up being the most destabilizing thing of all.
So when you look at the big picture, the path forward is this incredible tightrope walk. On one hand, we have to move slowly and really carefully, building in all the safety features to stop a rogue AI or prevent misuse. But on the other hand, we have to move fast enough so that democracies don't get left in the dust by autocratic regimes. It's this terrifyingly delicate balance between being safe and being fast. And that brings us right back to where we started. This whole thing, it's not just a technical problem to be solved. It's really a test. A test of our collective character, of our wisdom, and of our will to actually build a better future. How we answer that question, well, it's pretty much going to define the fate of our entire civilization.